Have you ever wondered what the first of something looked like? The first phone call? The first steps into space? Today, we're counting down the top 10 historical firsts that changed everything. From groundbreaking discoveries to moments that shaped our world, let's dive in. Stick around for number 1. It's a first that transformed all of humanity. Starting thing off, at number 10, imagine a world where moments could only live in memory or on a canvas. Then in 1826, something extraordinary happened. A French inventor named Joseph Nicephore Niepce changed everything. He captured the first photograph in human history. The image wasn't sharp or colorful, it was grainy, faint, and almost ghostly, but it was revolutionary. Using a process he called heliography, Niepce coated a pewter plate with a special chemical and exposed it to light for 8 hours. What emerged was a hazy yet unmistakable view of rooftops from his window. Think about it. This was the first time light etched reality onto a surface, capturing a moment forever. Niepce didn't know it then, but his invention paved the way for modern photography, film, and even the selfies we take today. From this grainy rooftop scene, we've gone on to document history, art, and life itself. Without this humble start in 1826, would we even have the world of visual media as we know it today? It all began with Niepce's window. One image, one moment, and the world has never looked back. Coming up next at number 9, did you know that the very first recorded surgery happened over 4,700 years ago? That's right, around 2750 BCE in ancient Egypt. And it wasn't just any surgery, it was brain surgery. It's called trepanation, where a hole is carefully drilled into the skull. But don't worry, this wasn't some gruesome experiment. The Egyptians were masters of medicine for their time. They believed this surgery could relieve pressure or cure ailments caused by evil spirits. Here's the amazing part. Evidence from skulls shows that many patients survived. Imagine that, thousands of years before antibiotics, anesthesia, or even basic sterilization. But how did they do it? The tools were primitive, like flint knives, but the surgeons were skilled. Egypt's rich knowledge of medicine came from studying the human body, thanks to mummification. They understood enough about anatomy to attempt and succeed at this daring procedure. This wasn't just the beginning of surgery. It was the start of humanity's quest to heal, to push boundaries, and to save lives. The bravery of those first surgeons and their patients set the stage for every medical breakthrough that followed. So next time you think of ancient Egypt, remember, it wasn't just the pyramids. It was also the birthplace of modern medicine's boldest first steps. Up next at number 8, what if I told you the first Declaration of Human Rights wasn't written in modern times, but over 2,500 years ago? Meet the Cyrus cylinder, a baked clay artifact from ancient Persia. It might look small, but its impact, massive. In 539 BCE, King Cyrus the Great of Persia conquered Babylon. But instead of ruling with fear, Cyrus did something unheard of. He issued what we now call the Cyrus cylinder. It's like the ancient world's version of a groundbreaking speech. On this cylinder, Cyrus declared the freedom of religion and abolished slavery, allowing displaced people to return to their homelands. One of the most famous examples, he let the Jews return to Jerusalem to rebuild their temple. This wasn't just kind leadership, it set a precedent for how rulers could respect human dignity. The United Nations even recognizes the Cyrus cylinder as the world's first charter of human rights. Think about it. This single act planted the seeds for concepts like equality and justice that we still fight for today. From ancient Persia to modern times, the Cyrus cylinder reminds us of one thing: the fight for human rights isn't new, it's a legacy. Next up at number 7, did you know the first democracy was born more than 2,500 years ago? Welcome to ancient Athens, 508 BCE, where everything we know about voting, laws, and freedom began to take shape. Before Athens, kings and rulers decided everything, but that changed when a man named Clisthenes made a bold move. He gave the power back to the people. Imagine this: ordinary citizens, not just nobles, could have a say in laws and decisions. This was revolutionary. Instead of just a king or a small group making choices, every eligible male citizen could vote. They gathered in a huge open space called the Agora, where they voted on everything from war to taxes. Laws written down for all to see. No more secret decisions behind closed doors. This new system was the birthplace of what we now call democracy. The idea that the people, not just the powerful, control their government. From ancient Athens to today, we still live with Clisthenes' legacy. Voting, free speech, equality, it all started here. The first democracy wasn't just a new way of ruling, it changed everything. A tiny city in ancient Greece sparked a revolution that shaped the world, and it all began in 508 BCE. Now that's a historical first that truly changed everything. Moving next to number 6, did you know the compass, a tool we now take for granted, completely changed the course of history? But here's the twist: it wasn't invented in the West. The first compass appeared in China during the 11th century CE. Before compasses, navigating the vast oceans was a dangerous guesswork. Sailors relied on landmarks, stars, and even the sun, but bad weather or thick fog could leave them completely lost. That's where the compass came in. Using a magnetic needle, the first compass could point north guiding sailors safely across the seas, even when they couldn't see the stars. This simple, yet revolutionary invention spread from China to the Middle East and eventually to Europe, changing the game for explorers. It helped open up new trade routes, led to the age of exploration, and played a huge role in the discovery of new lands. Can you imagine a world where the compass didn't exist? Christopher Columbus might never have sailed across the Atlantic, and Vasco da Gama might not have reached India by sea. Without the compass, history as we know it would have been dramatically different. The compass isn't just a tool, it's a symbol of how a small innovation can spark global change. From guiding ships to shaping the world's future, this historical first truly changed everything. Halfway there, at number 5, imagine a world where books are hand-copied one by one, slow, expensive, and rare. But in 1440, everything changed. Welcome to the story of the first printing press. Before this game-changing invention, knowledge was locked away, accessible only to the rich and powerful. Enter Johannes Gutenberg. This German blacksmith invented a machine that could mass-produce books by printing words with movable metal type. It wasn't just a new tool, it was a revolution. Gutenberg's press was fast, efficient, and for the first time, books could be made in large numbers at a fraction of the cost. His first big project, the Gutenberg Bible, printed around 1455. It wasn't just a book, it symbolized a shift in history. Ideas could now spread quickly across Europe, challenging the church, starting the Reformation, and even fueling the Renaissance. The printing press wasn't just about books, it sparked an explosion of information. Science, literature, politics changed forever. It allowed ordinary people access to ideas, knowledge, and stories once locked away in monasteries. So the next time you pick up a book or read an article, remember this: it all started with one simple machine that changed the world. The first printing press, 1440, a true game changer. Up next at number 4, imagine a world where flying wasn't just a dream. But in 1903, that dream took off, literally. It all started in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, with two brothers, Orville and Wilbur Wright. After years of experimenting, on December 17, 1903, they made history. Their plane, the Wright Flyer, soared through the sky for 12 seconds, covering 120 feet. It wasn't much, but that brief flight changed the world. It proved that controlled powered flight was possible. Before this, the idea of human flight seemed impossible. But these two men didn't just dream. They built and tested until they succeeded. Fast forward to today. We take flight for granted, whether it's for vacations, business, or exploration. But none of that would exist without Orville and Wilbur. Their first sparked the beginning of an entire industry, making global travel, space exploration, and air cargo a reality. From that first flight in 1903 to the skies above us now, their journey changed everything. Next up at number 3, imagine a world without light at the flick of a switch. Sounds impossible, right? But in 1879, that's exactly what life was like, until one man changed everything. Thomas Edison, a name we all know. But what did he really do? He didn't invent the light bulb, he perfected it. The first electric light bulb, as we know it, was born when Edison figured out how to make it practical and long-lasting. Before Edison, people used gas lamps or candles. They were dangerous, messy, and didn't last long. But Edison's breakthrough? A carbon filament inside a vacuum bulb that could glow for hours. It wasn't just an idea, it was a revolution. In 1879, when Edison flipped the switch, he didn't just light up a room, he lit up the future. The electric light bulb sparked the dawn of new industries, longer workdays, and the growth of cities. It wasn't just a light bulb, it was a symbol of human innovation, a game changer. Edison's invention changed everything, from how we work to how we live, and it all started with one simple idea: making light last. The first light bulb wasn't just the start of a brighter world, it lit the path for everything that followed, a true historical first that changed everything. Coming up next at number 2, on July 20th, 1969, a moment happened that forever changed the course of history. Neil Armstrong, aboard Apollo 11, took a small step, but it was the giant leap for mankind. Imagine standing on the surface of the moon, looking back at Earth, a tiny blue dot in the vast blackness of space. Armstrong's first words, "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind," echoed through the cosmos. This wasn't just about a man walking on another world. It was a victory for human ambition, the result of years of intense work, innovation, and fierce competition during the space race. Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin weren't just astronauts, they were symbols of determination and dreams. The world was watching, and for a brief moment, it didn't matter where you were from. We were all united in awe of what humanity could achieve. The moon landing sparked an era of exploration, science, and technological advancements. It pushed the boundaries of possibility and opened the door to new frontiers, inspiring generations to come. From satellites to space tourism, the effects of that first step are still felt today. So, every time you look up at the night sky, remember, that little step in 1969 was more than just a footprint in the dust. It was the first step into the future. And finally, at number 1, imagine a time long before humans had houses or even tools, when the world was dark, cold, and dangerous. That was life before fire. But then something something incredible happened. The first discovery of fire, by accident or by pure curiosity, changed everything. Picture this: early humans, just like us, wandering the wild, when a spark from a lightning strike or a stone hitting another stone suddenly lit up the night. For the first time, they had warmth, light, and protection. Fire was no longer a mere natural force. It became a tool, our first real invention. It wasn't just about keeping warm. Fire helped early humans cook food, making it easier to digest and safer to eat. It allowed them to hunt at night, defend themselves from wild animals, and even start crafting tools. The magic of fire didn't stop there. It sparked creativity, social bonding, and the beginnings of early civilizations. The discovery of fire wasn't just a technological leap. It was a survival game changer. It was one of the first steps toward modern life, making everything that followed, from the wheel to space travel, possible. So the next time you light a match or turn on a stove, remember, fire was our first breakthrough, a gift from the past that still shapes our world today. It was the spark that ignited the human story.